Rose Hollow. I'm a board certified naturopathic doctor specializing in women's health and hormones. I also co host the Holistic Ratio podcast. So if you haven't yet, please check that out. Any platform that you listen to podcasts on, you should find it. And our last episode, I think, was pretty epic with Jake Miner. I highly recommend listening to that. It's called Happy, Hungry, Horny. Um, so you can't miss it. But I thought I'd get on today and do a live just because it's different and it's interactive. So if I get anybody joining me, I'll ask if you have, maybe I'll take a couple of questions. But I thought it might be kind of fun to answer some questions that I got from one of my Dutch interpretation clients. These were really good questions, and not questions. Some of them were questions I hear a lot. Some of them were a little bit more unique, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to actually do a video? So first of all, I want to talk about milk and sinus issues and mucus and all that fun stuff. So, if you are implementing the pro-metabolic approach, you know that a big part of it is dairy products, especially milk. And there are definitely people out there who have milk allergies. They're allergic to casein or some other protein in the milk. Or you might be sensitive to it because maybe you have some gut issues that you may or may not know about. So, my advice is to, if you're just drinking regular milk or you're using just conventional dairy products, try cutting a lot of it out for a while and try a little bit of A2 milk. It's different in the way that they genetically they're different. I don't know. I'm not an expert on cows, but I know that A2 milk is more tolerable for some people that have certain types of protein allergies or sensitivities. So try that first before you completely cut out milk. I also know like sometimes goat's milk or raw cow milk, if it's legal and you have access to it, these things can be much more tolerable and not cause the sinus congestion. But if you try these things and you're still having issues, you might actually be allergic or have like a serious issue going on with your gut, causing some sensitivity and some inflammation. So you might want to cut it out while you work on other things. I would definitely be working on gut health and be working on pro-metabolic approaches. And then once you're feeling better, you know, your temperature is better, you have a little bit more energy, you could try reintroducing those dairy products. Try reintroducing maybe some goat milk, some A2 milk, something like that, and see how it goes. If you're still having a reaction to it, you might actually be allergic to it. So that's a different ball game. But you know, if you've done all the work and you're still reacting, then yes, there are people that just can't tolerate it. But a lot of times I find that people who thought they were allergic to the proteins in milk actually aren't, because there were other things going on. And when they reintroduce after they've done some healing, they find that dairy products can work for them. And I'm one of those people. I really thought that I had some sort of milk allergy, and it just turned out to be a raging gut problem. Also, my cortisol was high from stress, so that was an issue. So it can be a lot of things, but let's not demonize milk. If you're having a hard time with it, there definitely is a chance for you to do better with it in the future. But try those things, see if they work. You know, everything with our bodies is kind of an experiment. So, um, so keep trying. All right. So gut issues, like I said, the only way to know if you're really having gut issues is to try targeting support for your gut, or doing some sort of a gut test. I really like the GI map or the comprehensive stool analysis. If you're outside the US, if you're in Canada, you can still get the GI map. If you are in the UK, pretty soon I will be able to offer some testing for you guys as well. If you are elsewhere, you might have to ask other people where to get gut testing done, but it's something that can be really helpful. You know, if you have a strong suspicion that something is going on with your gut, I think it's nice to be equipped with information so that we can address it. But there's always the concern about, you know, the cost of these things. They're not cheap. So you can always try a simple gut healing protocol. I really like the Microbiome Labs gut restoration kit. I think it's a really good place to start if you want to DIY it. And it comes with directions, so you can follow those directions and see how it goes. But gut is really something that we all need to pay attention to, and it's kind of like a lifetime thing. You know, if you think about it, like exercise, if you're trying to get stronger, you know, you work out, you get stronger, you get some muscles, and we all know that once we're stronger, we can't just stop exercising and expect those muscles to stay strong. You know, you have to continue to exercise. It's the same thing with our guts. You know, taking care of our guts is a lifetime endeavor. So once you do a gut protocol, you can't say, well, it can't be, these symptoms can't be from my gut because I already did a gut protocol last year or 5 or 10 years ago. It still could be your gut. Your gut needs to be maintained. So it's important to learn how to do that. And if you're not sure what that's going to take, definitely work with a practitioner for that and see what can be helpful. Okay, another question that I got was about cortisone cream, and I know that this has kind of been in some of the groups as far as, you know, people who have low cortisol that are a little bit burned out, and if topical cortisone cream can raise cortisol levels. So my answer is maybe, probably not. You know, if you really have a serious problem with producing cortisol, that's a metabolic problem. You know, that is not a needing more cortisol, you know, giving it to the body problem. You know, you need to address the root cause. There is a prescription medication, I believe it's called Cordhef. I am not a prescriber, so I'm not educated in these things, but I do know that you need a prescription from a physician to get this. And I would say, you know, it could help some people, especially people that are, you know, like clinically diagnosed with something really serious regarding their cortisol levels. But it's a conversation you should have with a prescriber, maybe talk to a pharmacist about it, and know that unless you have a really serious issue, you really can't avoid addressing the root cause. You know, that's what is going to help fix the issue for you. It's not going to be a topical cortisone cream for sure. You know, you can always try it and see if you get some relief, see if it gives you a little bit of temporary energy. But unfortunately, it's not really going to fix the problem. You know, so, and always use these things with caution. Do your research, educate yourself before you self-medicate with anything. Okay, another good question that I receive all the time is, you know, tell me what the perfect formula of bioidentical progesterone is going to be for me. And my answer is always, if I knew the answer to that, I would give it to you. But unfortunately, I don't. I have clients on everything from 200 milligrams of progesterone today up to 3,000 milligrams and everywhere in between. It really depends on the person. It depends on why you need progesterone. It depends on the severity of your symptoms. It depends on what else is going on. the the larger doses are short-term doses, in my opinion, that can kind of get us into a better place while we're working on other things. If you want to, if you're needing the larger doses, you probably aren't absorbing progesterone very well, and you probably need to work on other things. So for example, I'll use myself as this example. I'm using a very high dose of topical progesterone right now. The reason that I decided to go very high dose right now is because I'm experiencing a flare of mast cell activation syndrome. So for me, my typical dose is much lower than the dose I'm on right now, but because I'm in a flare, I'm getting myself back on track and functional by using this higher dose. I'm only going to do it for 3 months. I'm working on other things in the meantime, and then I will reduce my dose again, and get back on my usual dose if my body allows it. You can always go on with that a little bit longer if you need to, but whenever you're on a higher dose, it's typically to address a really serious issue like catamenial epilepsy or MCAS or something like that, severe migraines, things like that. But we always have to be looking at what else is going on, because that's not a sustainable thing to do long term. It costs a lot of money. It's annoying, and it's hard to source that much progesterone for yourself. But there is no cookie cutter recipe. There is no standardized dosing guide for bioidentical progesterone, unless you're going to go with the Western medical model, which doesn't work. So, I have a progesterone dosing guide that I wrote. I have a progesterone course that you can take on PayHip. If you go to my website, www.goldenratiowellness.info, you can find the link to my ebook on there. There's a progesterone dosing guide in the ebook, and if you go to the ebook, you'll also see the progesterone course, and I think it's $20. So you can buy that and learn how to use progesterone. You can also join my group, the Golden Ratio Collective, and there are lots of people in there. That's on Facebook. There are lots of people in there that use progesterone all the time, so you can ask questions in there as well. We can't really give you medical advice, but people can share their experiences and encourage you to adjust your dose, maybe try different things, and share what's worked for them. Okay. So, another topic I think could be addressed right now is vitamin C. I really prefer food-based vitamin C. I try to stay away from ascorbic acid unless I am acutely ill, which means I have the flu or strep throat or something like that. Because I want a big dose of vitamin C really fast. So I get my food-based vitamin C from my adrenal cocktail, and from a lot of orange juice and a lot of citrus fruits. I think, you could do, if you want to supplement, get the Jigsaw adrenal cocktail that has plenty of food-based vitamin C in it. You could take rose hips. I'm drawing a blank on some of the other forms, but you can go onto Fullscript or into a health food store or something and, search for vitamin C and look for things that are not ascorbic acid. Acerola berry is one of them. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I'm totally having a brain fart right now, but focus on naturally based vitamin C, because the ascorbic acid, we know from a lot of research that's out there now that it can kind of impair our iron recycling system. So ladies, if you are getting a lot of blood tests and you're seeing that your iron and your ferritin and things are kind of out of whack and you're feeling kind of sluggish and tired and you're working on your metabolism and that's not working, it might be your ascorbic acid. You may want to reconsider that. That's my opinion on it. I just see that working against people sometimes. Okay, so a lot of times people say about magnesium, I'm taking magnesium. Do I need to take the one that you recommended? I usually recommend magnesium lysonate, like magnesium glycinate, magnesium threonate. Those forms I don't typically recommend, or topical magnesium, totally. I don't recommend magnesium oxide, citrate, things like that. They're hard on the guts. So check your magnesium, see what the form is that you're taking. If you're not sure what to take, come join my group, Golden Ratio Collective on Facebook. You have to answer some questions to be approved. Come in there, look in our pinned posts, look in our files, ask questions about these things, about vitamin C, about magnesium, about progesterone. We're there to help you with that. And if you really need a lot of one-on-one help, of course, you can sign up to work with me and my wonderful health coach, Amy, and we would be happy to help you figure these things out as well. Okay, carrot salad. Can I just eat the carrot? I mean, yeah, you can just eat a carrot. It's not going to hurt you. It could have some benefit to help sweep out the gut. I mean, I don't have any doubt about that. But the reason that Dr. Raymond Peat designed this special recipe of the carrot salad is because of the complementary actions offered by the raw carrot sliced, you know, kind of, what is that called? Like a shredded style, along with the coconut oil. We know coconut oil is antimicrobial. So in the gut, you know, it helps to break down like yeast and anything that shouldn't be in there. It's kind of going to town on that. And then the carrot, the fibers in the carrot, and the carrot itself is antimicrobial too. So it's sweeping the guts. And then the apple cider vinegar has another complementary action to these things. I personally, right now, because I'm flaring with mast cell activation, I can't have the vinegar. So yeah, I mean, I think a carrot's better than nothing, but is it going to work as well as the carrot salad? Probably not. But you know, you need to make educated decisions on these things. Like if you can't have vinegar, you can't have vinegar, but can you still add the coconut oil? I would at least do that. Okay, moving on to caffeine. So when I started out as a naturopath, of course, I was taught in school that caffeine is bad and sugar is bad, you know. So for a long time, I was trying to get people to cut back on their caffeine, cut back on your sugar. So now since I've done a little bit more continuing education on my own, I know that, first of all, caffeine is not bad as long as you are, you know, you're feeling good when you consume it and you're consuming it with a fat and a sugar. So or with food, you know. So the worst thing you can do with caffeine is get up in the morning and do that first thing on an empty stomach. You know, I would have a bite to eat first. If you can add some milk, or even some sort of, put some butter in there or some ghee or something, and add some maple syrup, some honey, some just regular sugar is fine. Put that in there and enjoy a delicious coffee with your breakfast. I think it's fine as long as you don't notice your stress hormones ramping up when you're drinking this coffee. If you do, then maybe reconsider that second cup. Okay, sugar. Sugar is not bad, and I'm not talking about having Skittles for dinner, you know, or like eating donuts all day. You know, I think that sugar kind of gets a bad rap because when people stop eating sugar, they notice that they feel better, but I have grown to understand that the reason people feel better when they cut things out of their diet is usually because of all the other things that were with the sugar. So if you are eating fruit, for example, even fruit with a lot of sugar in it, like oranges, like orange juice, it's not bad. It's not bad for you. If you are really dysregulated and your sugar is really out of balance and you are insulin resistant, adding these things back in, you may notice some symptoms, some unpleasant symptoms. So you might have to kind of slowly work your way into it. If you want to start with lower glycemic fruits like berries, you know, you could start with that. If you have been like keto or completely carb free or sugar free for a long time, you know, you can kind of slowly work your way into this and then increase your carbs. But there is a lot to this, and I know like this video is kind of just hitting on some very brief points. You know, there is a lot of science to this, and there is kind of a process to this. So, you know, I don't want it to sound like super simplified. I think it's really good to learn. One of my favorite books is, let me see if I can find it on my shelf. Okay, I found it. If you want to learn more about this topic, this is the best book to get. This is How to Heal Your Metabolism by Kate Deering. Stop blaming aging for your slowing metabolism. She talks a lot about carrots and caffeine and sugar and dairy, all these things that I'm covering, she talks about, and how to work with your God-given metabolism, which is, you know, it's the same for every human on the planet, how this works. She tells you how to work with your metabolism to provide the nourishment you need for energy at the cellular level. And if you have that energy, that is the foundation for everything working in your body, you know? So if you're not sleeping well, if you feel like crap, if you're not hungry, if you're not happy, and if you're not horny, that's your metabolism saying it needs support. And this is why sugar is not our enemy. Actually, avoiding it for a long time can kind of flip the script and make things worse. So I'm telling you, Glucose Goddess is getting it wrong. Sorry. Sorry, Glucose Goddess. Okay. Alcohol. Alcohol, you know, when I say sugar is good, I would say alcohol is bad. Alcohol drives inflammation. It damages our guts. It can cause weight gain. It can cause joint pain. It can cause disrupted sleep, gut dysfunction, hormone imbalances, you name it. It's a straight up saboteur when it comes to healing. I think if you're not feeling well and you're in healing mode, you should not be drinking alcohol. And that's just, you know, there's so many reasons, so many other reasons we should not be relying on alcohol. I think if you rely on alcohol for stress relief or something, there are other things you can learn to do to deal with stress that don't involve alcohol. So yeah, I'm not a fan of alcohol for that reason. I just see it destroying a lot of people's health, and it doesn't take much, unfortunately. If you have insomnia and you're drinking, it's gonna work against you. So okay, DHEA. A lot of times on Dutch tests, we see this low. But what about when we see high DHEA and you're not supplementing pregnenolone, you're not supplementing testosterone? Why would DHEA be high in the absence of those hormones? It's probably a sign that your body is under a lot of stress and struggling with blood sugar balance. So, you know, you don't want to ignore it. It's trying to tell you something. And again, this book right here, this is going to help. So if you've had a Dutch test or you've had hormone testing and your DHEA is high or low, it's your metabolism. Okay. Another really good question I get sometimes is, okay, so cortisol. A lot of times on the Dutch test, we see people with really high cortisol at some point during the day, sometimes all points during the day. If your cortisol is really high for a long time, eventually it will kind of lower and flatten out, and then people get really fatigued. There are people that call this adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue. I don't know that that terminology is completely accurate, because the problem isn't with the adrenals, it's with the energy needed for the adrenals to work properly. So again, it's really a metabolism issue. If you take off all the, you know, you go to the bottom of the parfait and you look at the very root, it's a metabolic issue, just like everything else. It comes down to the energy that you have. It's depleted. So what can you do if your cortisol is dysregulated? Like, very, very simple things. Eating regularly throughout the day. If you're really dysregulated, you need to eat more often, from the minute you wake up in the morning until you shut off your light at the end of the day. I really recommend using Cronometer. It will show you, it will calculate the number of calories you need for your day. Join my group if you want to ask questions about using Cronometer and how to set up the ratios correctly and all of that. I am still a learner in this department myself when it comes to counting macros, but I can definitely help you get everything set up. You know, maybe I'll post something in my group about how to get that set up. So you want to eat regularly. Do not fear sugar. If you've been avoiding it for a long time, just slowly introduce those carbs, but you need to reintroduce them. Use salt. You're probably not using enough salt. Salt is also demonized in our society, but everybody needs salt. You probably need more than you realize. You're probably not eating as much as you need. Get real rest. It's okay to have downtime. It's okay to put your feet up. It's okay to do nothing. It is really good if you can add some breath work to that, add some sunshine or fresh air to that, add some grounding, sit on the ground, put your feet in the grass. You know, it's springtime. We can all go out and put our feet on the bare ground without freezing our little toes off here in the United States, in the Midwest. So these are things you can do. Bring in nutrient-dense support. So when you are introducing your carbs, you also want to think about, you know, eating a lot of whole foods. Eat easy to digest foods. The pro-metabolic way of living is built for this stuff. You know, this addresses so many issues. So those are some of the questions that I get a lot, and a couple of really unique ones that I got today. So I hope that that was helpful. If this resonated with you and you're overwhelmed trying to figure everything out on your own, you are not alone. This is exactly why I created my VIP program. My health coach, Amy, and I work one-on-one with women for 3 to 4 months. So, you know, it's like an all-inclusive program. It is, it includes everything, except we don't pay for your labs. Those are always a separate charge, especially because we work with people globally. So there's no way we could include the cost of labs because it's too complicated. But all of the interpretations, you get 4 appointments, chat messaging with us, a care plan based on information that we gather from you as an individual. So you get an individualized care plan made just for you, and we tweak it as we work with you, and we help you out along the way. We don't just give you a set of rules to follow and release you into the wild. We work in a dynamic way with you every day. So if anything comes up, you know, we adjust, we help, we assist, we encourage, and if our clients are just as dedicated as we are, usually we have a pretty good outcome. We also have a maintenance program that continues the work. If you complete the VIP, the time with us in your VIP package, and you want more time, then we have an option for you to work with us at a little bit lower cost for up to another year, and then you can even extend from there if you really enjoy working with us. I think it's always good to set expectations. So, you know, when we're talking about really dysregulated cortisol, really dysregulated insulin resistance and glucose, really dysregulated hormones, really dysregulated nervous system, that's at a minimum, that's a 6-month process. You know, that's not 3 to 4 months. So this VIP program, while it gives you a lot to work on and a great place to start, after 3 to 4 months, we hope that you feel confident to continue the work. But if you need us, we're there for you. Okay, so if you want to work with us, you just go to www.goldenratiowellness.info. And then towards the top, there is a button that says Become a Client. So you just click that button. And then if you want to have a one-on-one meet up with me via Zoom before you sign up for something, or if you want to kind of put a game plan together, you would want to click on the option that says, if in doubt, start here. That is the discovery call, and it gets you 45 minutes with me one-on-one, and we can talk about whatever it is that you have going on and make sure that the plan that you're signing up for makes sense to both of us so that you can get the most out of your investment and your time. So thanks for watching. If this helped you, hit like, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and definitely subscribe because I'll be doing more lives in the future. And, you know, we'll talk about hormones, about healing, about all things holistic. And if anybody, I will give this a few more seconds. If anybody has a question that you would like to post, please post it in the comments and I will see if I can offer you a little bit of some guidance really quick. So anything relating to what I'm talking about in this video, if you have a question, please put it in the comments. Give it a couple more seconds. I don't see any questions coming up, but I see people are still watching. So I'll give you another minute. Anybody have a question? All right, well, I'm going to go, but if you would like to join my group, you can always come in there and ask your questions. Again, it's the Golden Ratio Collective on Facebook. You will have to answer some questions in order to be approved for the group, and then you can come in and look through all of our information. And you can also check out other YouTube videos that I've done. I think I've covered all these topics in one way or another in other shorts and videos. So hope to see you again soon. Bye!